this is Tim, and this video I'm going to talk about Delegating RPG Authority. I have some experience with being a supervisor in past job exploits that I've had, for good or ill, and they taught me a few things. As a supervisor, mainly as a supervisor for UPS, I had 10 employees that were underneath me, and I had a section of conveyor belt, different sections throughout my career there. So I had some experience with different people, different experience levels of the employees themselves, different outlooks, attitudes, all that good stuff. But what it taught me is that I don't need to do everything myself. There are things that I can delegate to those underneath me in the hierarchy to do them for me. And I think a lot of times as GMs, we take it all on our shoulders, everything. And you don't necessarily have to do that. You can give away some of that authority. You can set tasks for certain players to do, to lighten the load a bit, so you can focus on the bits that GMs need to handle, things that players perhaps can't, or, depending on the system, yeah, that's a different ball of wax. But so let's say we're talking about a traditional role-playing game, where you have a GM or a DM and players. What kind of authority can you give to the players so that you don't have to handle it? Some things that come off the top of my head right now are initiatives in combat. That's not necessarily something that you have to do. You can have perhaps one of the players call out the initiative number, or write down the initiative order and let players know when it's their turn. That's one less thing you have to do at the table, and you can be spending that time in better ways. Perhaps making monster stats up on the fly, or thinking about what those NPCs are going to do, or things that are going on in the setting that have nothing to do with the battle at all. Maybe it's going to happen 2 hours from now. As a GM, you really need to find time during a game to think of things and just keep everything straight. So the less you have to do, the better. I like very proactive players because there's a lot of times when they're talking with each other or role-playing, and I don't have to do anything. So I have time to do other things that I need to do. There are times when I couldn't do any prep work. So, maybe the night before, I don't know, you had a big old fight with a wife or something. So, I can't do my prep work. There's times like that. It's not the best, but, real life throws a curveball sometimes. So initiative, that's one thing right there. Looking up spells. You could have one player that's designed, or not designed, but designated to look up spells for you. In the best case scenario, you should have the players do that themselves. I always tell spellcasters, make sure you have the book open to the spell. But that doesn't always happen, and instead of me looking through a spell, looking through a book to find a spell, you can have one of the players do that. Almost like a reference player. Someone who's going to look up the book rules for you. Look through the book. Maybe you have, the rule on surprise is kind of fuzzy in your head, or turning from clerics. You can go, hey Bob, you're the rules guy. Why don't you look it up real quick? And then you maybe go on to another player or move the game on. That sort of thing. So you can have a guy looking up rules. It's one less thing you have to do. I don't know if I necessarily have a player look up monster stats for you. That seems like something that's probably designed for the GM. But depending on your group, maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe they can look up page numbers, or just look through the index. Maybe you have a player that finds the page number of things. Like, hey Frank, can you look up the cleric turning? Where's that at? What page? Those sorts of things. There's probably other suggestions out there that aren't coming to my mind right now. But if there are any out there, things that you have done, I'd like to hear about them. What RPG authority have you given to the players, and how has that improved your game? How has that given you, as the GM, more time to run the story, run the game, and do other things like that? I'd be looking forward to hearing that. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later. Bye.